The end of the year has a way of revealing everything we've been carrying, the things that we've accomplished, the things that we've avoided, the truths that we've been too busy to maybe sit with. Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia Flores. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, the host of the Heal Manifest podcast, and I help you break cycles and build healthier relationships. This episode is not about fixing your whole life before the clock hits midnight. It's about slowing down just enough to hear your own truth again. It's about self reflection, introspection. And today I am guiding you through 10 questions that will help you to release what's heavy, reclaim what matters, and really enter 2026 with more clarity and intention, not just operating on survival mode, which is what we're trying to get away from. So take a deep breath. Grab your journal if you want to, or just let these questions land and return to them when you are ready. Let's begin. Starting with question number 1. What do you feel proud of for this year? Whether these are things that you've accomplished, things that you've had to overcome, either transitions, heartbreak, just challenging family, relationship dynamics. I want you to think of moments where maybe you struggled, you felt overwhelmed, but also a sense of resilience, of being reminded of the person that you are, of how chingona or chingon you are and how far you've come. And I want you to think about moments of this year that you feel proud of. What is that for you? What does that look like for you? Honor this part of you, honor this version of you. It's this part of you is helping you grow and evolve and heal. So I want you to take a moment to honor this version of you, this chapter of you. Now, question number 2, what did this year teach you about yourself and your limits? And even your boundaries. Did you feel like you had to push through everything? Where did you hit emotional or physical limits? Where did your yes cost you too much? Notice what limits revealed, not just about areas that still need growing and still need evolving, but also about your strengths and your resilience and your humanity. Because, hey, we're human. We're all kind of going through the flow. We're all learning. And this question is really about helping you see your strengths, your qualities, but also where did you hit some limitations and areas where you can potentially grow. On to question number 3. Where did you abandon yourself trying to be chosen, liked, or understood? Think about relationships, friendships, work environment, family dynamics. Where did you make yourself small? Where did you silence your needs because you didn't want to disappoint other people? Where did you have to people please? This question, it's not about bringing shame to you. It's about guiding you back home to yourself. It's about giving yourself grace for this part of you that maybe operated on your conditioning, but also recognizing that there is growth, there is healing, and that you can integrate certain internal tools such as setting boundaries, emotional, physical boundaries, etc., to protect your peace, to protect your well being. And it's really bringing clarity around what your needs are. I do work with so many people that struggle with identifying their needs because throughout their life, they had to operate on dismissing them, minimizing them. And this is because of trauma. This could be because of challenging family dynamics or even navigating adult relationships. But knowing your needs can give you clarity around how you can communicate that more assertively and show up for yourself. When I talk about showing up for yourself, is being able to advocate for yourself, being able to stand in your truth, to use your voice to communicate that, and also set boundaries. This question is, where did you abandon yourself to be chosen, to be liked, or understood? Question number 4, what did you learn about what actually regulates your nervous system, not what social media says works, not what Instagram says works. What actually helped you feel grounded? Was it silence? Was it relaxing music? Was it moving your body? Was it prayer? Was it boundaries? Solitude? Was it connection? Was it connecting with nature? Was it building community? This question is really about building your personal blueprint for safety, for knowing what feels safe in my body, what feels safe for me, and how can I continue integrating these skills, tools, and things that bring that inner sense of safety. Question number 5 is, what relationship supported your growth and which ones drained it? So think about people who maybe left you feeling lighter, softer, more like yourself, more authentic, and then be honest about who left you anxious, who left you confused or exhausted. I think that this is an interesting question because I've had many conversations with clients and friends around friendships. I think that as you get older, and especially for women in their 30s, even 40s, friendships look different. And it's not about following what society tells you that friendships should look like, or even social media, but it's around what feels good for you, right? And I think that this is something that many people think, well, if I don't talk to my friends all of the time, and if there's no constant communication, then that means that this person just shouldn't be in my life. And that's not true. Again, you get to choose and decide what feels right for you. But also, you get to determine and assess which relationships maybe are not supporting your growth, are not supporting your healing, like the version that you are becoming. And it's also important that you listen and trust your intuition. And if they're not supporting you, and if you communicate to them, like, hey, this is what I would like from this, and if they don't show and demonstrate that with actions, then you also get to reassess what feels right for you when it comes to friendships. So, this question is really about assessing your friendships and the support that you give to others, and then that you also receive. Question number 6 is, what did you hold on to out of fear, not out of love? Was it a job? Was it a friendship, a situationship? Was it a specific pattern or a coping mechanism? Or maybe it was a version of you that really no longer fits or aligns with this chapter in your life, or this version of you. And this question, I really want you to be gentle here with you. Again, it's not about bringing an inner sense of guilt or shame. Sometimes we do stay in certain situations because they do feel safer than starting over. So there is possibly grief there that maybe we are not naming. And it is honestly, this is the first step towards releasing that, towards healing, towards breaking these cycles and patterns that really no longer align. But, fear at the end of the day is an emotion, just like happiness, fulfillment, sadness, frustration. It's an emotion. It doesn't mean that it stays with us forever. But what's important is that fear is also a messenger. It's a messenger that can let us know many things, right? Am I operating out of survival? Am I operating out of maybe this fear when it comes to limiting beliefs not being enough, or being too much, or fear of abandonment, fear of rejection? So understanding that it is a messenger, and you get to also identify, well, what is really underneath that fear? And you will actually be surprised what comes out of that when you're journaling and you're really asking yourself these profound questions. So answer this question as you're journaling or as you're reflecting, listening to this episode. Number 7, what did you stop apologizing for this year? Was it about having boundaries, about using your voice, or showing up authentically and unapologetically? Is it about your rest, your ambition, your healing, you breaking generational cycles, or you becoming someone who takes up space without shrinking? And I want you with this question is to really acknowledge this part of you, this version of you. I think that for many of my clients and women that I've worked with, this is a struggle. Our conditioning can look like we need to be small, we need to be calladitas, we need to not show up, we need to not advocate, because of course this narrative, this conditioning comes from a lot of fear, and it also comes from survival, and understanding that everyone has their own journey and what this looks like for them when it comes to stop apologizing for who they are and how they want to show up in the world, in their relationships, in these different areas of their lives that is meaningful and important. And I just want you with this question to really acknowledge that and to celebrate that. Question number 8: what part of you needs forgiveness? And when I talk about forgiveness, it's about self forgiveness. Maybe you're holding on to guilt or shame for feeling like you're not doing enough, or shaming for the way that you've reacted when you were triggered or when you felt overwhelmed, or even resentment towards yourself for settling. I want you to really take a deep breath for this question. Offer yourself compassion to the part of you that didn't know different. You were probably just operating from a place of survival, from a place of responding or reacting in a way that you knew. You didn't know any difference. So I want you to again give yourself grace as you're reflecting on this question and the responses and whatever comes up in your journaling. Just know that as you give yourself grace, self compassion, and self forgiveness, remind yourself that you were doing the best that you could with the tools that you had. And forgiveness is honestly a form of liberation, is a form of releasing the expectation of the shoulds, of the should haves, the could haves, the would haves, which is something from the past. We cannot go to the past. We can just move forward and choose to show up differently, to respond differently. And that's what really matters. Question number 9: what are you no longer willing to carry into 2026? Think about people, think about certain patterns, think about certain limiting beliefs, think about the different stories and narratives you tell yourself about yourself, about your worth, about who you are, and think about fear, think about comparison, maybe even operating on over functioning, which this is something that I do see a lot. Maybe you're over functioning in different areas of your life, at work, your relationships, your marriage, your, you as a parent, in whatever situation. Think about self-doubt, think about people pleasing, write that down, process that. And with this question of what you're no longer willing to carry in 2026, what is your plan? What is your game plan? And it doesn't have to be a specific next steps or anything like that, but just be more intentional with how you want to show up. What would that look like? So, question number 10: what does the next version of you need? What does this next version or chapter of you need? Maybe you need more consistency. Maybe you need to stay committed to your goals, to your plan. Maybe you need community. Maybe you need more softness. Maybe you need more time for play, more intentional integrating different things that bring you joy in your life. Maybe you need to travel. Maybe you need to set more quality time with your friends, family, etc. Maybe you need more discipline. Maybe you need boundaries or even rest. Maybe being very intentional with resting. So, with this question, I want you to visualize yourself and in this new version, this new chapter of yourself in what you're needing. And what does that look like? What is one small commitment that you can make moving forward to move towards this version of you? And this is not about like just aesthetics. This is not about, like performing. This is something that, again, coming back to intentionality and how you want to feel and how you want to be and show up. All right, everyone. So this concludes the 10 self reflective journal questions. I hope that you do get your journal out. And I do want to remind you that you don't have to become this brand new person this 2026, January 1st, right? This is not my intention for this episode. You have to just become more honest with yourself, more committed to yourself, more committed to your own personal growth, to your own healing, to your own personal development. And this does not mean that you need to constantly change to a new version of yourself and every time, every year. That's not what I want to say either, because you can remain the same if you want, but life is always have taking us to a place of growth, to a place of learning something new about ourselves. And that's what this is about. And these questions aren't about the new year, even, they're about you reclaiming your voice, your truth, your energy, your direction, your intention. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Give it a thumbs up. Please share it with others. I really hope that you use this time to self reflect or introspect, and that this episode is helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here for this growing community that just really means a lot to me. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.